How does it look?
Ihab, I'll wait for you, okay? Let me know when can I start.
You can go ahead, Tala. Go ahead, please.
Good evening. Thanks everyone for joining us this evening in this exciting discussion on the transition to success from employee to independent consultant. As well, thank you to our panelists for joining us tonight and to our dear friends and LBS Gulf members, Ihab, Tabbara, and Mahal Bawardi for planning and making this happen. About Ihab, who will be moderating this webinar with me, he is an MBA grad, a retail consultant, managing partner at Spectrum, and also the club leader for LBS Alumni in Jeddah. My name is Tala Raad. I'm an e-commerce retail consultant. I am the GCC partner at the Farm Branding and Creative Lab. I have a passion to develop brands as well as helping startups and SMEs throughout their different stages of growth. Now, moving to the essence of this discussion, are you aware of true success stories of people making the transition from a full-time employee to becoming a consultant who is able to enjoy more financial rewards from using his own skills and expertise? We consultants tend to be asked this question constantly. So some people are okay with working in the corporate world for a few years, but at some point, they get the itch to break free and start their own business. Perhaps they want more flexibility and freedom with their life. Maybe they're tired of asking for regular promotions. Whatever the reasons are, it is wonderful to dream big. In fact, big dreams bring creativity to the world. Thanks to this shifting ideology today, we have many consultants in the market who are reaping great profits even during the dire times of pandemic. In this webinar, we aim to create awareness on how you can proceed with your transitional journey. We will explore with our panelists what they went through in their journey of transition from internal mindset shifts to external risks and new life challenges. We will know what the determinants of success are and how to do it right. Ihab, over to you.
Thank you so much, Tala, for this lovely introduction. Good evening again, everyone. So my name is Ihab Tabbara, as Tala mentioned, and I'll be also your moderator for tonight. But before I introduce the three amazing panelists today to you, let me remind everyone of the housekeeping rules and structure. We will have 45 minutes of session, and I will leave 15 minutes of Q&A for your questions. So please feel free, everyone, to drop us your question down below in the chat box to me or to Tala. And remember, everyone, to keep yourself muted and your camera turned off during the session whenever a person is speaking. Thank you so much, everyone. Now, without further ado, let me introduce our speakers. I will leave the floor for each one of them to introduce themselves. Our first speaker is Keshav Adya. He's a managing partner at Adan Corporate Finance. He's joining us from Dubai. Keshav?
Hello, good evening, everyone. I've been in Dubai for about a year now, and I was in London for about 18 years before moving here. Personally, I have about 20 years of experience in pretty much all forms of consulting, ranging from technology consulting to corporate finance more recently. The first 10 years of work, which were with large corporates, investment banks, advisory firms, and the last 10 years were primarily as an entrepreneur, as a corporate finance consultant, dabbling with pretty much the whole spectrum of corporate finance. It's my pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to the event tonight.
Thank you so much, Keshav, for this lovely introduction and background. Now, our second speaker here tonight is Nissrine Elqobai. She is a CEO and advisor at ENY. She's joining us from Dubai. Nissrine, please tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Nissrine Elqobai. I'm in supply chain since 23 years now. I can't believe it. You can split it in 3 parts. First 10 years, I was working as a consultant for corporate companies, consulting companies in Europe. And then I choose to go the other side to be a manager, supply chain manager, which I did also for around 11 years. And now I started my own freedom.
Wonderful, wonderful. So from consultant to supply chain manager, and now again to your consultancy freedom. That's great.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here, Nissrine. Now our last speaker is Dr. Mohamed Al-Nefily. He's the founder of MIU Partners and Lafia Cares, and he's joining us today from Jeddah. Mohamed, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ihab, Tala, and Maha for giving me the opportunity to present my journey to the audience. I'm a physician in background. I've been in healthcare industry for about 20 years, working in different roles as a physician, doing consultation for patients. And then I moved to the management side of that. And since 1.5 years, I left the corporate work, and I already started my own consultancy in healthcare industry, which is a vertical consultancy firm focused on healthcare especially.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mohamed. From physician to consultant. I can't wait to hear your story. Thank you so much. Now I will leave the floor to Tala. Tala, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ihab. Now, this question will be to all 3 panelists, starting with Nissrine. We all know starting your consulting brand requires courage. How was your state of mind? Can you briefly take us through your journey?
Yeah, I need to unmute. I think that's the most famous word this year, unmute. Yes, so about the journey, to be honest, there is a lot to say, especially, and I know we are all unique and we're all different. We're all built differently. For me, it came in a really, really excellent now that I look back, but it was really challenging. I wanted to be independent. This I knew for many years, but at the same time, I delivered my baby. It was so challenging, and a lot of new things came, a lot of challenges came. But you know, when because of experience, when there is an accumulation of you think it's not going well, but it is actually. When there is an accumulation of events, I know this is the right moment. So in the middle of a tornado, I said to myself, okay, this is now. I have to become independent. So really, when everything went shrinking, this is where I decided, with the support of my husband and my brother, because he's also in supply chain, we decided to go bold and crazy, and we opened one branch in Morocco and one branch in Dubai, because we want to cover Middle East and Africa. And I would say the toughest part was to stop thinking as an employee and to shift and to say, okay, that's it. I can't stop. Like, I can't keep thinking, oh, I need, maybe if I have a job, shall I accept it? If someone offers me a job, shall I accept it? This kind of question will come at the beginning. You know, you will hesitate. You will feel, oh, maybe I should accept another job last time and this and that. But resist, resist the temptation. And I know it's going to be tough. If you have, of course, a certain financial, you know, I planned it all my life that I will have 1-2 years financial safety net before I do this. It came when I had nothing, literally. And imagine family, baby, and a lot of things. And I promise you, it was the best moment ever, because I found a strength, an incredible strength to do it. I would never think I will be so strong in this and so resilient. So yeah, trust the process. Jump when you feel it. Just jump. When you feel it's not the moment, still jump.
Okay, thank you, Nissrine, for taking us through this personal experience and the internal mindset. Mohamed, would you like to share your experience with us?
Sure. This is an experience for me. Have two milestones or two stations. I started, as I said, as a physician, and the core business of the physician is doing consultation for patients, basically. But it's more powerful.
Hello, Mohamed, I think you're cutting. Ihab, can you hear Mohamed?
No, he cut, I think. You can move on to, if you want, to Keshav, and then Mohamed, can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was disconnected for a minute.
Okay, what I'm saying, I was saying that it's like I'm started as a physician, and the physician core business is doing consultation for the patients, but with more powerful consultation and advice, because the physician knows exactly the treatment plan and the diagnosis and how this is. So the client or the patients in our case is following the doctor or the physician, then I for years I was working like a physician, and after a while I was engaged in the management more and more, healthcare management and different roles. This grabs me to be a fully dedicated in the management, than to be a senior level exec in one of the biggest healthcare providers in the Middle East. Reported to the higher level, have a very good compensation with a very high level reporting line. Then I want to say it's never been a plan A to be a consultant or to move for a consultancy or even a plan B, but it's always a plan on the table. So when the plan A and B didn't work with me, I start to immediately to move to the consultancy plan. For sure, I did a lot before in the handover time, which was like 3 months in my job before corporate work. I started to do the foundation of the consultancy firm, and I decided to have like a vertical consultancy, especially in healthcare sector. Not only that, with a different consultancy scope, like it's more hands-on consultancy, taking projects from A to Z, executing, let's say, some work in the projects. So and then it started from there. I started to get my network, my direct network, my indirect network, mapping my network, and the journey started. And it's really I was enjoying this journey, and I'm still enjoying the journey till now.
Just one small question. What do you mean by vertical consultancy?
Vertical consultancy, I mean this consultancy where we have a very focused line of consultancy. So it's not a general management consultancy. It's a consultancy in the business development and commercial aspect in healthcare. So
more like subject matter expert consultancy.
Yes, and in a very specific line.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Mohamed. Keshav, can you take us through your journey and what was your mindset and how did it happen?
Sure. I've got a couple of instances where I transferred from the corporate world into the consulting world, and then went back to the corporate world, and then went again back to the consulting world. The first time that it happened, it was a bizarre, should I say, combination or culmination of different events. The first was, it was during the height of the financial recession back in 2008, 2009. I was with Morgan Stanley back then. I was there for about 5 years, and pretty much every department were going through its own revisions in terms of headcounts, amongst other things. And I lost a few people in my team, and that's when I realized that nothing is really constant, no matter how much time, effort, loyalty, etc. you give to businesses or to companies or corporates, should I say. At the end of the day, you're essentially a metric in the grand scheme of things. So that was, in present day times, I don't think that's quite the case. But back in 2008, 2009, when we were going through a similar situation, it was a combination of the desperation to stay into what I was doing and the reluctance to, stay and just wait for the cut. You see what I'm saying? So, that was what was going on in my mind when it happened for the first time. So what I did was I took the plunge and I quit, and I became an independent consultant. It was, a very difficult decision. However, I thought that was the right thing to do, because it put me in a far better position from a psychological perspective, because then I was free to do anything I wanted. I was not clinging on to what I was doing. So I took the courage. I stepped out of my comfort zone back then, and got into a very specific area when it all started, risk management. I was doing a lot of M&A before that, so I got into risk management, which I knew would always be present in investment banking. And with one person, or a solopreneur, as we like to call ourselves, I started getting into larger deals, larger contracts, and then I created a consulting firm with that, and I hired other consultants. And that journey taught me the concept of sales, the concept of personal branding. And then I used all that experience in the second time I made the shift from the corporate world into the consulting world about 5 years ago with Adan Corporate, where I am right now. But again, it was a shift from just core project delivery into investment banking and corporate finance advisory. So that involved a completely different set of skills, a completely different mindset to grow in that area. But in both instances, I must say, what started off as a difficult decision soon became a blessing in disguise, because it gave me the power, and as Nissrine said, it gave me that mindset that I could do anything, and the whole world became the canvas.
Okay, thank you very much, Keshav. Ihab, back to you.
Thank you, Tala. Thank you so much, Tala, for this lovely. I want to ask you, all of you, who will start first. Let me start with Dr. Mohamed. Can you explain to us what were your challenges or opportunity that you encounter in your process?
This is a good question, because as it is like an opportunity, it's also a challenge. The challenge is basically it was like about the managing my personal P&L in about 4 months or 5 months that I have to compensate my whole the other activities, building the capacity in the firm, try to building the network, and another personal things that I have to compensate. So the first thing during this time, especially during this tough time, during that time, it was like it was in 2019. It was before COVID, but the market and the dynamics in the market in Saudi that time, it was like also tough. during the transformation, the government is spending, projects, everything is going, the market trend and the economics is going like not like before. So it was like a tough time, and the corona came and it continued to downward the curve of the economy. So managing the PNL, my personal PNL, and the company, establishing that, this is one of the most challenges. And the way that I designed my consultancy firm, it's as I told you before, it's a vertical, very specialized consultancy firm, which needs a dedicated team. It's not only giving an advice or giving a consultancy opinion, it's about to execute as well. So I went further with the consultancy to introduce to the market something different than the other consultancy firms doing in healthcare in Saudi. Adding to have drawing the strategy, adding new business line, market access to market strategy, or new product in healthcare. Also, my firm was trying to execute and achieve what we already set in our strategy. And this also create the challenge of having, you can't do this alone. So you have to have people and team around you, and they have to be specialized in the same sector as well. So this was the second challenge. The opportunities that I found, I believe the opportunity of capitalize on my network from my previous years in corporate work. I had, my network was like with the suppliers, with the vendors, with the healthcare providers, with the healthcare investors. So this was a very good opportunity. Moving from the seat of the provider to the seat of the supplier as a consultancy, it's something very different. But you have the power when you sit in the seat of the provider, you have the power to choose and select between the suppliers. But when you move to the seat of the supplier to the provider, it's something very different. If you don't have built the trust with your network before leaving the corporate work, and this is something that we will talk about when we speak about the advices later. This is something very important. This is number one opportunity. The second opportunity was about the COVID and what's happening in COVID. Telemedicine, medical technology was something booming, and it's like a trend right now. And my company, my firm, was very, very into a telemedicine and medical technology, especially telepathology, teleradiology, and other specialized things. And this was like opportunity as well. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mohamed. Actually, the COVID-19, in that case, it made like a bit of acceleration in your consultancy process, especially in the telemedicine, right?
Sure.
I want to ask you a question here to go back one step. You said you managed your PNL, and how did you manage it, and what was your expectation? Can you give us more brief on that aspect?
This is the question, by the way, of the transition. And I encourage everybody to think about this before taking the step. The movement, you have to have someone or people around you to support you, to make some, like, as we know, for example, the LBS community, we help each other, we support each other, doing some services as pro bono for each other, helping and supporting. But at the end, managing the PNL of your personal life, your family, you have. I'm lucky because my partner is she is working in a corporate, so we have compensated this. So she supported me and to go further with my projects. And I think this is one of the things that made this journey happen and expedite this. But BNL management is something very tough, especially at that time.
Wonderful, wonderful, Mohammed. And I'm absolutely right what you say. The LBS is here to help each other out. We are all here to help out with any advice, any guidance. We are all one team. Thank you so much, Doctor. I will turn on to Nissrine. Can you elaborate for us what were your challenges and the opportunity during your process?
Yes, hi. Thank you. And I listened to our colleague, Mohamed. It's good to absolutely learn from each other. The challenge is, honestly, the main challenge is the mindset. And the one that and I'm really sharing with you guys because I want people to understand that the dream is beautiful, but it requires a lot of effort. And the first one is the mindset, to change, to stop thinking like you're not working in a corporate world anymore. You're not having, driving to the office. Everything is ready. You have the whole company behind your back. This is you and your own brand and your name. And when you meet someone, it's you. It's you. That's it. And the other challenge I faced, and again, I'm really telling you small things because these things, I heard them before, but I didn't realize how big it will take, how big it will be in my life. Organization. Waking up in the morning and from where shall I start today? What shall I do? Shall I go through my contacts first, or shall I do this, or shall I do that, or which one shall I start with? Organize yourself. How to organize yourself? How to organize your day? How not to leave, other things eating up your day. The beauty of it is, of course, if I want to take a day off during the week and relax, I can. I just push everything around, right? But until I reach that point of mastering my agenda, I was really like chaotic at the beginning, and I don't know from where to start or what. Or I didn't know. It was really when you are on your own, you really you have to manage your own boat. So for me, that's the second. I laugh now, but I was not laughing at that time. That was the second challenge. The opportunity is, I promise you, I never felt that feeling of freedom before. Like, it's in the same time scary, but scary good, Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we
Okay.
can hear you, Nissrine. Go
Okay.
on.
So that feeling of being free and to choose what you want and to who you talk to and what business you're taking and what business you're not taking, that's a feeling of freedom, feeling of power over your life. So your life is not dependent of an employee working 10 hours or 12 hours per day and the weekend, and you have to run like a rabbit everywhere. It's a really, honestly, I've been studying, I've been preparing myself all my life. I wanted to be independent since 99. So I worked, all my experience was to build where I am today. How it happened very abruptly, but the idea was here since ever. But I never thought I will feel what I'm feeling today. And the opportunity to choose, the feeling of power, the feeling of gratitude also, that every day you say, I'm grateful of what I'm having today, and what I don't get today, it's okay. I'll get it later, So it's really, really rewarding, challenging, tiring. Sometimes you just want to cry because it's so hard and you work 20 hours per day. but yeah, you know, cry a little bit, wipe your tears, and get up again, because it's worth it. It's really, really worth it. I'd rather cry for that than crying because my boss shouted at me. You know, so it's really worth it.
Wonderful,
Interesting. And
wonderful.
the next day you can even Nissrine take the day off if you feel like it.
Absolutely, and meet my friend, and you know, and go for a spa day, and then chill out, and then replug again, and come even stronger on the market.
If I may ask you a question, you mentioned that previously you were working as a consultant at big
Yes,
corporate groups in Europe.
yes.
How did you manage to convince the customers to take your consulting services now versus
No.
going with reputable consulting services, for example?
So yes, so you know, um, uh, that's a question I asked myself at the beginning, which was, how am I going to place myself in the midst of in the middle of this McKinsey and all the big companies, the Accenture, the EY, etc., the KPMG. But I thought, okay, who am I? Yeah, I'm ENY Consulting. Obviously, I don't have 1,000 consultants yet with me, but who am I is the most important. Not what I want to, or who do I want to compete with. So I studied that. I really studied competition. What is competition for me? For me. And I thought, if I consider competition as something where, like, we have a pie and we need to split the pie, and I need to take only this, then I will always, always, always look at the downside, at scarcity. But if I look at competition, they know what they're doing. They're doing their job, but I need to create my own pie, and I want the whole pie. So I thought, what do I want to do? I want to help local companies, Middle East and Africa, in Middle East and Africa. That's my goal. And to give them all the supply chain knowledge I can, me and the team that is with me. Okay. So I built my pitch around that, and I really feel it, and it's in my heart. I feel very emotional when I say it. So it is right. So when there is a McKinsey or KPMG, and I promise you, I can't believe, I really can't believe, this is surreal. I'm competing with them on project. I cannot believe that. It's surreal. I present myself as, listen, I have the experience, the same experience. What if I was KPMG? Would you sign with me rather? But here I will give you the 100% care. I'm not, I'm not in a robotic way. I have to follow this process, this. Me, I'm here fully for you. I'll give you the whole care possible. I'll give you my heart, my soul, to solve your problem. So that's my big difference. That's my branding, is that, and I hope when we will grow, that all our partners will be like that or more than me. That's all I hope, because I don't want to lose that when we grow and when we become more partners or more consultants.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Hope
Nissrine.
it makes sense.
Yes, thank you, Nissrine, so much. Keshav, can you share with us light on the challenges and the opportunity you encounter?
Well, Nissrine's quite eloquently covered a few of those points which I was going to make. So I'll have to think of new ones now. But yes, in general, I agree that, at the end of the day, it's a one-person army versus other brands out there in the market. So how are you going to, number one, create that niche for yourself out there? And secondly, how are you going to position yourself out there amongst others? What is your differentiator? Is it the personal service? Is it the depth of your knowledge? Is it your past transaction experience? Is it your background and your network which you bring to the mix other than just your skills? So what's that differentiator? If you're starting on your own, obviously you'll have to start off with people you have either dealt with, as in people who you know personally, and that's quite easy because they know you, they've done work with you or business with you, They know what your skills are. They know what your capabilities are. The real challenge starts when you exhaust your first circle or your first degree of your network and you don't find a consulting gig. That's where trouble starts. That's where you realize that I should invest in personal branding and networking, something which LBS, goes to great lengths to, discuss and imbibe as a part of its journey, right? So, how do you develop that personal network and brand for yourself within that personal network is what matters. Um, that was again a learning opportunity for me because I did everything right from building websites to curating LinkedIn profiles, making it fit for purpose for the type of consulting service I was looking at, um, mass mailing, dealing with presenting yourself in a slightly different way. So it was a learning exercise. And sorry, there's someone who's speaking in the background.
That's from, yes, okay.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So, it's a combination of understanding what your strengths are, but also presenting those strengths and playing to that strength, right? Because what happens, the biggest trap that I've come across when consultants get out of the corporate world, or first time consultants get out of the corporate world, is that perceived self brand. That's another thing. That's another trap, right? The perceived self brand is, as Nissrine said, the brand that you worked for. Like when I stepped out, I was working for Morgan Stanley, and whatever I did was for that venture and was for that business. And a lot of people struggle to realize that that entire ecosystem that works with them works with the brand they're working for and not really that individual. So I think first time consultants should definitely invest a little bit in personal branding. You could write blogs, you could invest a little bit in social media such as LinkedIn, Twitter, the professional ones, that is, and also look at creating a niche for themselves, not just within their personal network, but also outside that. Now, with regards to opportunities, there are lots of associations out there, lots of clubs, lots of communities, lots of LinkedIn groups as well, by the way, where there are lots of projects and consulting gigs which are discussed. So you might want to participate in such engagements, because bear in mind, it's not about working for someone. The focus shifts from doing all of that plus also sales and marketing. You have to go out there and meet people. You have to go and sell yourself. So if you can't really focus on sales, or if you think sales is not your cup of tea, then you should really rethink um about getting into consulting, because consulting is not the romanticized version where I can take time off whenever I want, and do whatever I want. It all depends on the industry, on the sector, on the geography that one is. In management consulting, for example, or in technology consulting or project management consulting, right? Your boss is replaced by the client. The boss does not have that degree or that level of authority to fire you in case you have made mistakes, but the client can definitely fire you if there are mistakes. It's just that you have moved from one picture into a perceived picture, which may not be the same, the same that you are expecting. So you have to be a little careful there. And I've fallen into a couple of similar traps before, and I'm just sharing all this from experience, obviously. But yes, there are lots of opportunities if you manage to create that niche, that brand for yourself.
That's wonderful, Keshav. So basically, to differentiate yourself, you have to create your own, develop your own brand, and to network basically through clubs, association, LinkedIn, all those kind of things. Thank you so much, Keshav, for this insightful.
Can I jump on?
Yeah, go ahead, Nissrine.
Yeah, just to 1 minute, literally. I fully agree with Keshav. One thing that I discovered I had to be better at was sales. And you have to be a good communicator. You have to be a people person in order to be able to sell your services. Yeah. Also, when you I want to also point out to our listeners that I don't know how old are they. If you had 20 years of experience, then you started your consultancy, then you have, please think, or if you think of working 10 years and then do your, my advice, keep your contacts throughout your career. Be good, be a good person, like be a good colleague. Keep, even if you leave a company, keep contact with your old boss, the old CEOs, the old colleagues, etc. You never know who you're going to meet later. So please keep, however long you'll be an employee, keep a good record with the people around you. That is, if you work a few years before you're doing your company. And then one question to ask yourself when you want to become independent, and of course you have to love what you're doing. We didn't talk about that, but you have to love what you're doing. You have to have a passion of what you're doing. Yeah, I don't believe everyone is able to switch. You might work on yourself, you might work on your passion, etc., etc. But you have one dilemma I faced at the beginning was, do I want to start as a freelancer or do I want to start a firm? So that was one of the questions. Do I want to do project after project after project myself, or do I want to conquer or to have a
create a brand
and create a brand and a firm, a consulting firm. So that's it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Nissrine, on the to build relationship, to keep the dormant ties and relationship with all people that you met since the beginning of your life. So you never know when you're going to go back and actually need them, basically. Thank you so much, Nissrine. Tala, I'll hand over the floor to you, the stage.
Yeah, these are really valuable advices. Now, let's move one step back. How did you validate your idea before making the move? Have you tested the market first, for example, before deciding to leave your job and before investing into your company, into registration and building your brand? How do you know that there's a market, a niche that could have a growth potential? Mohamed, we can start with you.
Yeah, the validation, it's an ongoing process. And I think from my experience, I never think about to jump into a consultancy firm or doing a consultancy job unless I had an experience that the people already approached me and asking for my advice and my consultancy, either pro bono or either just friendly or even official consultation. So from my experience, what happened with me, I just, for 2-3 years before quitting the corporate work, I was doing advising people, giving consultancy to them, especially if there is no conflict of interest with what I am doing right now, and with the consultancy or the advice or the point that they asked me to do that. Yes, validation, it should be done before jumping into this tough movement. As my colleague said, it's not an easy movement. You have to believe in your capacity before doing this. You have to have the right skill set before to do this movement.
So you were doing it naturally.
Yeah, naturally. You have to do this before you jump. You have to feel it. You have to feel that you can give an advice. What you have exactly, if you have not only the talent, because I think to be a consultant, you have to have the depth and the know-how of what the things that you are doing. You should be a detailed-oriented person. You should go to the deep, dig deeper to the things. Because when you move to the consultant level, as we said before, the errors is not taken easily. They will easily, they can terminate your contract easily. Because you expect from your side to give them the advice, not to learn from them.
Okay, thank you, Mohamed. Ihab, back to you.
Okay, I'm muted. I would like to ask a question here from the audience. I really like this question. Do you feel like anybody can jump in and answer this question? So do you feel like you are always chasing to get new businesses? Are you able to turn off after working hours? Who would like to jump in first?
I can dive in.
Go ahead.
So I've been doing this for about 12 years now. And Rusha, you're absolutely right. Once you've tasted what you can do, once you've tasted blood, as they say, it's very hard to let go. So yes, you're right. You're right. It feels like you are always on the treadmill, looking at new ways of monetizing or commercializing anything and everything that comes your way. And then, it changes your mindset as well towards the concept of work, right? Because in the corporate world, 40 hours was like the norm. And back then in the UK, it was 37 and a half hours. To go from that to about 100 hours a week in not just working, but also finding new ways to do lots of things, right? You're constantly retraining, you're going after certifications, you're going after learning new skills, which you might want to acquire to get into a very specific type of consulting engagement. Or in general, studying about growth, pretty much everything that you study during the EMBA program, right? It is very hard to switch off, is what I can definitely share from my experience. I'm sure other people would have different experiences based on their area of work and everything else. It's very difficult to switch off. Every day is a Sunday, like it is here. Every day is work and nothing else. But on the flip side, you also get to decide when to switch off. You see, it can be difficult at first, knowing that you're leaving a lot of money on the table. But once you have come to realize that, okay, in addition to work and money and other things, once you get married, once you have a family, once you develop hobbies, you find time for everything in your life. And then your priorities shift, your priorities change. And just to reiterate what Mohammed just mentioned, right? It's very difficult to get into a generic consulting engagement, because you've all naturally been there as leaders, as a part of the management. You hire consultants when you require a very specific piece of advice. I need someone who's great in this area, who knows everything from top to bottom in that area. People don't hire consultants because they're generalists. So as an employee, you can become a generalist and thrive, because those roles are very strategic in nature. But as consultants, you have to be extremely specific in that body of knowledge, right? So just wanted to circle back on that point.
I have to add something to this.
Yes, go ahead, please.
When you move to the Russia, when you move to the consultancy, there is nothing called working hours. Nothing called work. It's different. It's totally different terminology. It's like your own hours, because the outcome of these hours that you spend working, searching, networking, delivering, this is it comes at the end at your own business. So because working hours in your previous employer or someone else, you are building for him or for his company or for their company. But what you are doing here is it's to call it a working hours. For me, it's something. It's like I'm enjoying doing this because it's for myself, for my brand. This is just my comment on this.
Thank you, Mohamed. Thank you so much. I have a small surprise for everyone. I would like to share a poll with you, and I would like to get your feedback on it. I'm going to launch the poll, and we're going to ask the question here. 1 second, I have a technical error. Okay, you see the poll? Okay, what is it that is stopping most of the individuals to take the first step in becoming a self-employed consultant? It's a multiple choice question. So you have A, legal formalities, B, lack of guidance, C, lack of ideas validation, D, fear of failures, and E, financial instability. I will keep for 20 seconds and I will share with you the results.
So we can select many.
Yeah, you can select many. It's a multiple choice. You can select A, B, C, D, or E.
You can select more than one.
Yeah, exactly, more than one. So I'm going to give 5 seconds and I will share the results with you guys. Okay, so basically everyone, this is the result. Everyone voted for fear of failure. Can anyone of you guys give us more or elaborate more on this idea?
Happy to dive in.
Dive in, or as you wish, guys.
So in the corporate world, failure is often frowned upon. Your bonus depends on it, whether you're successful or not in anything. Your decision making depends on whether there is a chance of failure or whether there is a chance of success. Even if the chance of success is higher, you would still want to err on the side of caution, and you don't take those risks when you're in the corporate world. So naturally, when you step out into the unknown, into the wild, it becomes very difficult to understand what will work and what will not, unless you actually get your feet wet, unless you actually dive into the pool. So from my experience, if you don't try, if you don't put in some effort, any effort into something, you will not realize whether it will work for you or not. The pain of regret, as they call it, is much more than the pain of failure. So if you believe in something like this, then you will see that failure is in fact there as your friend. It teaches you how not to do things. It teaches you what works and what doesn't. And then you can focus on the brighter side of things. I view failure as a stepping stone into getting something. All good writers have been bad writers at some point. All good professionals, all good technology developers, consultants have made mistakes. So failures is the name that people give to their experience. It's just that in the corporate world, we like to focus on the successful or the brighter side of life and work, as opposed to the consulting or the entrepreneurial world where failure is your best friend. So yeah, that's my take.
Yeah.
I love it, Keshav. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Keshav.
Nissrine, would you like to add something?
Man, I'm boiling inside. I wish we had 3 hours. Really, because the least we can do is to share. That's the least we can do, and I hope it's useful for our listeners. I fully agree. When you are working somewhere, especially if you are successful at your job as an employee, man, you're so comfortable because you are very comfortable. You are successful. You're going from promotion to promotion, increase to increase, and this is very fulfilling. But when you are on your own, and there is a fear of what I'm going, how I will end up next month, or even if you plan, of course, you plan so many things, a lot of, I call it a lot of plan A's, not plan B, C, D, A's everywhere. But still, so you of course you fear, you have some fear, but it's exciting. And I would say today more than before, even with this COVID, with this uncertainty, we have to embrace risk. We have to embrace failure. You know what? Jump, take the risk, fall down, and do it again. Recycle and do it. Don't get scared. What will happen? I mean, what will happen? What will happen? Nothing. Okay, you'll squeeze your belt a little bit more, you'll do this, you'll do that, but at least you would have been so happy that you tried, and you've been so proud of yourself that you tried. So today I can tell you, before I was fearless, but now I'm just insane. I just go for everything, and I jump and I try and I do, and I have to, because that's the way I will build experience. And the more experience I build, the more I give back to my customers. That's how I see it. The more I give back to my son, the more I give back, hopefully, to students. So that's a part of us that we need to. Experiencing is giving back. So yeah,
Absolutely.
don't be scared. It's part of it, but embrace the fear. Yeah.
I'd just like to add to what Nissrine just mentioned, if I may, very quickly. Ihab, sorry.
Yeah. Sure.
So there is this concept, a philosophical construct called Stoicism, where people tend to, embrace failure and embrace hardships. Incidentally, I wrote a little blog about it just this morning on LBS's Start Hub. So there's this term called premeditatio malorum, which means you premeditate everything that might be, unsuccessful or could be branded as a failure. And if you have thought through all that in your mind, when it happens, you're not surprised. There is no uncertainty when it happens. And when there is no uncertainty, you will not have that fear of failure. You will see, okay, I had thought of that. And I know how to mitigate that risk if that happens. If, for example, you do not find a contract within a certain period of time, or if a contract doesn't work out, if it happens just like that without you thinking about it, then it hits you hard. But if you adopt the philosophy of, thinking through what could possibly go wrong, it is not negativity, it is not pessimism. Okay, it is just a preparedness that, hey, you know what, I've thought through what could fail and I'm prepared for it. So that's where that fear goes away.
That's so powerful, Keshav. Wonderful. I mean, in that case, you have to think about multiple scenario in your head so you can preempt whatever is happening down the road, right?
Yes, absolutely. In the corporate world, we call it risk management, right?
Okay.
You've got beautiful risk management templates, the risk description, risk proximity, risk impact, whether it's high, medium, low, what is the, who's the owner of that risk, what the mitigation strategy is. We, add all these to our monthly templates when we send it out to, the higher ups. How about you apply that to your own personal life?
Level.
And then see how you start looking at things differently. It's not about, again, as I said, it's not negativity. It's just about being prepared.
Exactly.
It gives you the arms to become more agile, more resilient, to face any situation and be able to overcome it, not necessarily get the hit and then feel the failure or take it as a failure, but rather learn from it, and which will make you stronger.
Correct.
And which will make you even move forward.
Yes.
Because these are really very, very interesting insights, Keshav and Nissrine and Mohamed. Thank you so much for your valuable advices, your transitional experiences, and your personal journey. This path, many people are currently thinking of it. Many people in the corporate executives, they're still flirting with the idea, but they are not ready to move because they don't know how. And they just need for someone to shed some light on how is it like. And now you fulfilled the job perfectly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tala.
Thank
Can
you
I
for having
add
us
one
over.
thing? Yeah, just for the who are working now. One thing I learned with COVID is please start something. Start, I don't know, selling a product or selling a service, even if it's small, it's okay. But start going out of that employee mindset. Because
Maybe
one
start
day it's
something
gonna
that you're
stop.
passionate about. Start something that
Absolutely,
you're truly
anything.
passionate about.
Yeah, it can be cookies at home and you sell cookies or
Yes.
whatever. Anything. But that seed will grow, you know, and you will start that one small step, another small step, another small step. Please start building other plan A's. Do not, that's my advice for all of us. Do not stay only on your salary income, one income. Don't count on that anymore. This is not the world of today anymore. You have to be creative. You have to create another lines of incomes, 10 if you want to, doesn't matter, but start now. Don't wait, jump now.
Yes,
And
I think
continue
those.
to work, you know? It's okay, give your time, give yourself time, but start doing something, start selling something, start bringing even $1, $10 per day out of something. That's it.
Yes, relying on one source of income is no longer enough these days.
No.
It is absolutely spot on, Nissrine. So LBS's Professor Linda Grattan has written a great book called The 100-Year Life, in which she practically describes how you have to try out different functions, different careers, different ways of doing things, and all that is achievable only via consulting. Because you get into a corporate role because you've dealt with that particular topic your entire life. Sometimes you do not have an escape, but consulting offers you ways to try out different things. So all the very best to
I
everyone
may
who's
add
joined the call.
something for the fear, guys. Fear is always a healthy thing. It's not something bad. Fear is behind all great things or achievement happened in the entire world. So fear is the driver. So don't take the fear as a negative thing. Fear is something that will drive, will make you more meticulous in doing things, doing it right. And my advice for everyone, don't jump for this unless you are well prepared for it. Building your foundation, tapping into your network, validating your capacity that you already really have the knowledge and know-how and the capacity, the skill sets to do this, then you can jump.
Thank you, Mohamed.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And thank you to all our panelists, Keshav, Mohamed, Nissrine, our audience. Thank you, everyone, for attending this webinar. I hope you find it very insightful and hope to see you next time. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Tala,
Good
also
night,
for being here.
everyone. Thank
Good night.
you.
Thank you,
Good day.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.